Okay, third time is a charm. Let's hope that this looks okay. Sorry, I wanted it to be a video that kind of covers the whole sides, and my phone is acting up on me, so I apologize, but we're up and down this time. So I'm going to give a few minutes for people who were in here to be able to kind of reset and find the current video before I go and get started. So I do apologize for that and for the delay. I know some of you probably have other things to do, so I am sorry. But just a quick heads up, while we're working today, I'm going to have my computer open in front of me. And so if you have any questions as we go along, please go ahead and comment in the comments, and I'll do my best to be able to see what your question is and hopefully be able to answer them as we go. So let me open this up. It looks like I am here. Okay, got a few people here, so welcome, welcome. I'm excited to be hosting my second live craft from my craft room at Cari's Creations. I will be hosting this live craft every first Thursday of the month, and we'll be making different things each month. I haven't decided what we're going to do next month yet, but on my Facebook page, if you go to the wall, you'll see a link to the going live craft, like the link for it. So go ahead and open it and hit, attending or interested, and then whenever I update what the next class day and class subject will be, you'll get the notifications of it if you're in there. Otherwise, I try to do my best to kind of share it once I make the decision, but that would be a way for you to be in the know well in advance. So today, our live craft, we are going to be making giant paper flowers. These are really, really popular right now. They are being used in weddings, for photo booths, for baby showers. They can be used to be decorating like a wall in a baby's room or in a teenager girl's room. Anyway, there's so many uses for them. In fact, I probably am going to hang a few of these on my wall in my craft room when we're all done today. So, you can see in the back here, there's several different flowers. Some of them are different sizes, but they're using 3 different templates. And I offer templates for each of these flowers. So if you are interested in purchasing one, leave me a comment or message me after the video, and I'd be happy to get you 1, 2, or all 3. A single set of templates kind of comes like this. And it comes with all the different petals that you would trace and cut for your flower. An individual template set is $10 with free shipping, but if you get all 3, then you can get it for $25. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I know a few people purchased some templates for today in advance, so hopefully they're here with us today and able to craft along with me. But if not, don't worry, you can come back. I'm going to leave the video on my page, and you can replay it at any time, and you can watch it over and over and just kind of follow along in the future too. So the flower that we're going to make today is actually the same as this one. I have a little bit different color that I'm going to use, but it's this flower. And the instructions for those who got the templates in advance was to trace and cut all of their petals. And so I did a lot of that in advance so that we wouldn't be here for an hour. So basically I'm going to show you what to do with all of these cut petals. But basically you take your template, and they're made from kind of like a hard chipboard, so you can reuse them over and over and over again without any problem. But you basically take a pencil and you trace around the border of it, and then you're going to cut out all of your individual petals, and it does take a lot. So for a giant paper, people don't realize sometimes they go to purchase them from someone or me, and then they're just like, wow, that's really expensive. If you can learn how to make them yourself and you're patient and you want to do it, then I encourage you to do so. Of course, you can always hire me to make them too, but they take an enormous amount of paper. Just this one flower alone, depending on how you set up your template on 8.5 by 11 cardstock, you can use anywhere from 18 all the way up to like 25 pieces of paper just for one flower. So they take a lot of paper. You can see kind of in the background, I did make a couple smaller ones just to kind of like give it some depth. And of course those wouldn't take as much, but for the biggest one that you would make from the set of the template, it takes a lot of paper. So if you are here, I'd love to see you. And put a comment. Let me know that you're here. I'll give you a shout out. Say hello. See who's following along today. Anyway, so I have gotten all my petals cut. Now these aren't very hard to make. They're just, like I said, time consuming. Obviously you have to trace all your petals. You have to cut all the petals out. And then once that's done, then you actually have to assemble it. Better plug in my hot glue gun because I almost forgot. That's going to be necessary. So we'll give that a minute to warm up. I probably should have plugged that in a couple minutes ago, but it'll give a couple people more time to get here. All right, I'm going to set this aside, but remember, I do have the templates for sale, and if something happens where you like this video and you really want to make some for yourself, I can sell you the template from today, but I can also sell it for all 3 of the flowers that are back here, okay? All right, so the other thing that you're going to want to cut out is you're going to just want to cut a circle. I used a circle cutter to do mine. However, you can just cut one by hand because it's going to be on the back of the flower. Nobody's going to see it. So it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. But you are going to need a circle for your base. And while my hot glue gun is heating up, I'm going to do all of the other parts to this. So basically, with your stack of petals, and this particular one, hi John, he says I could smile a little bigger. There you go. Is that better? All right, so for this particular flower, you're going to want to take each petal and you're going to fold it in half. And this is going to kind of help it to raise up and off and give it some depth. Otherwise, all your petals are just basically going to sit flat. So while we're waiting for the hot glue gun to heat up, I'm going to basically fold all of these petals in half. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So there's about, I think, 6 different sized petals, and you cut out a range of anywhere from 5 all the way up to 8 of each petal. So the smallest one, there's 5. I'm going to let you watch me. The reason why I kind of do this from most of the start to finish is because if you are crafting along with me, I obviously don't want to just have it be like a quickie tutorial and then you can't keep up. So bear with me because it does take a little bit, but because of that, I'm doing it just one step at a time. Got a few people in here now. Hi, Angelina. My mom is watching. She says, Mommy's watching. Hi, Mommy. I hope you're feeling better. She's been feeling a little bit under the weather. She got snow at her ranch this past week. We did, okay, so I have tutorials that I'm doing on YouTube as well, not just this live craft each month. And I was at her ranch last weekend, and we did the video from her ranch, which was really cool. You got to see the mountain in the background. You got to see their little store. So shout out Upright Ranch. Thank you for hosting us. That was a lot of fun. My mom was in the video. So yeah, I think I've got, I want to say, maybe 7 or 8 videos on YouTube now. And I'm posting them there every week. And my channel on YouTube is Getting Crafty with Cari. And maybe I'll leave, if someone's interested in it, I can leave a link in the comments. But there's tutorials that I'm posting every single week on YouTube. And it's obviously still in its infant stages. I had talked about it during our last live craft because it was brand new. But I got several videos in there you can see now, so hopefully you'll go check them out. Hi, Maureen. Good to see you. I've got my brother-in-law, John. Got several folks in here. It's good to see everybody. So, for those who have just kind of joined in, we are basically taking our petals that we have cut from this template. There's about 6 different sized petals. And if you had gotten the template in advance, which several of you had, you should have cut these in advance. Hi, Jeannie. Good to see you. So at this point, we've got our petals cut, and we're basically folding each one of these petals in half. And I'm almost done with them all. But just to kind of catch up the people who just got here, you can know what it is that I'm doing. I'm almost done. By the time I finish, my hot glue gun should be ready to work. So like I said, these are really easy to make. They're just time consuming. And they use a lot of paper. Now I do make flowers out of other things too. I don't hand cut every flower that I make. I do have these great tools. They're from Sizzix that I roll through a machine. It's called a Big Shot. And basically what it is I take, it's like a metal die, and you roll your paper with this metal die through, and it cuts out petals for me. However, because of the limitation of the size of the machine, I can't get a flower that's this giant. These are actually, they measure anywhere from 15 all the way up to like 18 inches wide, depending on how you fold them and how many petals you put, and just how deep you have them glued onto this piece of this little circle. But the other ones that roll through that machine, they're really, really nice, and they turn out really beautiful, but they range in size anywhere from 8 up to like 12 inches. So if you go onto my page here and you go into the photos and then you hit albums, there is an album titled Floral Bouquets, and you'd be able to see examples of a bunch of different paper flowers that I've made. And if you ever have any questions or want me to give you more information on any of those flowers, just let me know. Okay, so we have all of our petals folded in half. So I'm just going to kind of move these and kind of sort these into the size from biggest to smallest. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your circle that you've cut. Again, it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. It's going to be the back of your flower. And this is going to be your base. So we have 8 of the largest petal. So you're going to take your hot glue gun, and you're basically going to glue across a strip across the back of the glue, and you want to put it maybe not quite halfway down the circle. So you can see there's the front, there's the back, and we're going to be putting these all the way around. I like to do, since it's an even number, I like to do them across from one another so that I get it nice and balanced. Okay, so we start off first of all with the largest petals. I'm going to do those first, and I'll hold it up after each step, because our next petals we're going to do something a little bit more different. So now you can see if I'm doing them across from one another, it kind of comes out even. Otherwise, it never fails. I wind up having spacing issues, and I'm kind of OCD, so it gets on my nerves when it doesn't balance exactly right. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm like super OCD with my crafts. I will literally rip it up and start over if I'm unhappy. Okay, so we're almost done with the big petals. There was 8 in this size. When you get a template from me, it will actually have instructions of how many petals to cut out from each side, so that you don't have to wonder. It doesn't have like an instruction sheet, but you can come back and watch this tutorial at any time. I'm not going to take it off of my site. All right, so here is our first layer. Now, for the next layers, so that they aren't a flat flower, I'm going to kind of make it pop up a little bit. And to do that, I'm going to take the next set of leaves, and we've folded them in half, but we're going to take scissors and we're going to cut a slit up maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So you can see I've cut these. And what we're going to do is we're going to take just a little dot of glue at the very bottom of the slit, and we're just going to kind of cross it over so that you can see how like it kind of stays kind of folded open for me now. This is what it looks like underneath. It's just been kind of like a little crisscross of just that little small area. So I'm going to do that on each one. Crisscross. See if I can. I'll do it up close for the next one. I think what I'll do is, just so that you can see super close, I'm going to come around and do it real close to the video. So here's your petal. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom of one corner, okay? And then I'm just going to barely move it over, let it rest, kind of hold it in place. So you see how like now the petal stays open where these ones are flat. That makes sense? So we're going to do that for all of these. And this particular petal that graduates down, we have 6 of this size. Hot glue is awesome, but it's also extremely annoying. I have a love-hate relationship with hot glue. Not every craft that I do is going to involve hot glue, I promise. But I do use my hot glue gun a lot. That's why it's so ugly. Okay, so once I have all of those done, we're going to start with the second layer. So again, we're going to take glue and we're going to kind of go across the bottom. And then you're going to want to kind of come in enough that you're not evened up with the other. And then I like to just kind of push. It looks all wrinkled. See, but I'm just kind of pushing it a little bit, even though it's bent up and it looks ugly underneath. But don't be afraid to kind of push it, because the end will pop off, but the inside, nobody's going to see it because it just gets filled in and filled in and filled in. Okay? So, again, I like to kind of go back and forth because I have an even number so that I'm balanced. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. Alright. So again, I'm not laying this flat. I'm kind of gluing the end, but kind of pushing this a little bit, so it still has kind of a little bit of pop up off of the flower, but it's, you'll get used to it when you try it out a few times, trust me. It's kind of hard to explain. Hopefully by you watching, you'll understand. I'm a visual learner. Sometimes like words do nothing for me. I just need to watch. Okay. Alright, so we're on the last petal of this one. And then I'll show you where we're at. Alright, so now you can see it starting to kind of take on some depth. Okay. So again, if you want to have your flower doing this for the whole thing, then do that step on the back one too. I just personally like my back to be flat and then the rest to kind of start coming up off. So you do have the ability to do the same step that we just did with these, because it would just bring your flower more forward. So it just depends on how you want it to hang up and how you personally want it to turn out. Again, play with it, and then you can kind of decide the style that you like the most. Okay, so we're going to do the same step on the next one, the next petal level down. And I'm graduating from bigger petals to smaller petals. So I don't know if you can see that. Okay. Hoping you guys can see me okay. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I don't want to lose anybody, or if there's anything that someone has a question on, please, please, please ask. This is your opportunity to kind of ask questions. I mean, obviously, if you watch this video later and you ask a question, I'm going to see it. But right now, while I'm here, if I have an ability to answer a question for you, I'd love to help. Okay, so we have 6 more, a little bit smaller. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start another level inside. I'm going to take a glue across the bottom. And we're just going to bring it in just a little bit further. You don't want to take it all the way in because you want it to slowly graduate. But obviously, the petals are getting smaller too. So you should be okay, even if you line them up into a similar spot. And we have 6 of these, so I can kind of do them across from one another like I usually do. There's a point where we get down to 5, so I have to pay attention or else I don't line them up. Gotta grab some more glue. Like I said, these take a lot of paper, a lot of glue, and a lot of patience. But they're so worth it when they're done. They turn out so pretty. And especially in person, they're like a really big statement piece. Especially if you're putting together an event. Alright, so we have 3 layers now. See how it's coming together, right? Okay, so we're now on our 4th level. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut a slit. And we're going to put a little dot of glue on the bottom. Kind of kiss it together. I've seen a couple people come in, so because of that, I'm going to do another close-up. So when we're kind of gluing these petals together, you're going to take it and you're going to cut a slit, put a little dab of glue on the bottom, and you're just going to cross it over just to kind of make the petal stay open versus flat. So that's what we're doing. And we're doing that on all these petals. Now there's a lot of different programs out there. I have a Cricut, and there are flowers that can be, flower petals that can be cut off of there. Again, depending on your machine, depending on a program, some Cricuts can cut a space of 12 to 24 inches. But depending on the orientation of the flower petal and what size you need, a lot of times you can't get them much bigger than 10 inches tall maybe for an individual petal. So a lot of times these larger paper flowers, that's why you see templates, because they almost, not always, but a lot of times need to be hand cut for this size, because there's just not a cut size that would work. Don't get me wrong, there's a ton of flowers that you can cut off of a Cricut, and you can cut flowers like this, but these big giant ones, the best way to make them is by cutting the petals by hand. Alright, we're going to work on the next level. So same process. Now this particular size petal, 2, 3, I have 6 again. I think the next one we move down to 5. So you can see there's a lot of paper and a lot of petals that go into these. That's why they turn out so pretty. Now some people wonder, okay, well how are you going to hang these up when they're all done? So I'll show you what I'm going to use on mine, because my particular backdrop that I have as an example, I actually have a cloth thing hanging over it, And hopefully you guys don't have that too distracting and you have enough light. But I just wanted to kind of show you what a bunch of them would look like together, not just the one flower that we're making today. Anyway, for that, I have like these little metal pins that actually can pin onto fabric. But another suggestion would be, I love command strips. They work so good. I hang up multiple things with command strips, and they're really strong. And these paper flowers, they can get some weight on them if you think about it because of how much paper we're using. But if you aren't hanging it on a backdrop and perhaps you want it on a wall or in a nursery or as a decoration above a table or something like that for a party, you know, you can use a command strip and they're really strong and they would hold a flower where they're supposed to be no problem. So either use a pin if you're going to use on fabric, or the other idea would be to use a command strip because those work really great. Okay, so we are on the 5th layer. One more time, this one is the last one we're going to cut a slit into. This doesn't have to be as high because we're getting smaller and smaller. So I probably cut it about an inch up. And I'm going to do the same thing to where I'm going to make the petal kind of 3D looking. Okay. Getting there. We are almost done with it, if you can believe it. Okay, so we have our last, not our last, second to the last round of petals. So we are at the point where we're about to start filling in the center. So you can kind of see as they get smaller, it kind of fills in as we go. I've seen some tutorials and some other people who start with the little ones and then they just kind of put them on top. I personally like it this way because visually I can see it balance out better. When I'm flipping it and doing one at a time, I feel like they don't line up as nicely. Again, my way is not necessarily the right way. This is just the way that I do it, and I'm sharing with you the way that I've found to be the easiest way with the best result in my mind. All right. We're going to put these on, and I'm basically just kind of putting them into, slowly but surely, into the smaller space. And hot glue with the paper, it doesn't take very long to like seal together, so it goes really quickly once we get to this point. All right. Alright, we've got one more layer. Let's see, Jeannie. This particular paper, I didn't say so, and you can replay this back to the beginning if you want. I'm not going to delete it off the page, but I'm actually using a 65-pound cardstock. I'm not using the super heavy cardstock. I'm using the kind that, say, is really common at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby. Usually you can get it anywhere from $3 up to $5 a package for like 50 sheets. Okay. But it is a 65-pound. Yeah, 65-pound weight. So it's the kind of, you can make this from a lighter paper. There's no real rules on it. This is just the one that I've found to be not too flimsy, but not too super stiff, because you're doing so much with it with your hands. Your hands are going to be dead if you're cutting thick cardstock, and it's going to get super heavy by the time it's all done. So my personal recommendation is the 65-pound, just the standard cardstock that most of the time people buy. Okay, so we're on our last layer. On this one, I do not cut the center. Again, there's no set rule. I just personally don't like to cut the last one because I want to put my own little center in. So for the last layer, drop my glue gun. For the last layer, I'm just gonna put it in without doing that little step of popping it out. So now for anybody who has been watching my videos on YouTube, I'm not sure who has, but we had, when we did the video up at my mom's ranch, I taught everyone how to make pom-poms out of yarn that you can use for like hats or various crafts and things. And I wanted to show you that I incorporated it in our craft from today. So if anyone wants to know how to do that for their center of their flower, if anyone is paying attention, I used a center of this flower is actually a yarn pom-pom. Alright, so at this point, all of our petals are assembled. Now, there are different kinds of paper flower tutorials, like I said, and some of them start with the smallest going in. There's like a rose where you kind of have to do it that way, where you start with the center and then you build around the center so that you get that kind of spirally thing. This particular flower, you kind of have this empty space here in the middle. You can do a lot of stuff with it. You can leave it alone. You can put maybe like a big like bling, like rhinestone. You can put like this right here on this one is just like a silk artificial flower that I put in the center. This one has a pom-pom, but what I'm going to show you today is how to make one of these little frilly centers on that one. And so again, it's not very hard to do. Bear with me. I forgot to grab that piece of paper. So I have a piece of glitter paper, and it's probably cut maybe about 3 inches, but I would suggest maybe at least 2 for this size flower, but this one's 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it in half. This was actually off of the original sheet was 12 by 12, so it's cut at like 12 by 3 inches. So I've basically folded it in half. And I don't have anything in the template for the centers of the flowers because there's so many different things you can do for the center, and there's you can create your own, okay? But for this one, I'm going to just show you how to do this one real quick. I'm basically, here's your open side. You're going to close it, and from the folded side, I'm going to make a cut about once every 1/4 inch, not all the way through. I'm going to stop right about here. You don't want to cut it, otherwise it'll all fall apart. So the idea is, if you can see, you don't want to cut it all the way through, okay? So I'll get up close again for you guys so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going about a 1/4 inch at a time, and I'm not cutting all the way to the top. And you don't have to have every single one be perfectly the same width or length, okay? But the idea is that the majority of it is cut to the edge. I'm going to get going a little faster. And you're going to do that all the way down the strip. Okay. So you can kind of see what I did there, right? So what we're going to do to make this center, I'm going to take and I'm going to roll it around like this, okay? But I'm going to do a little bit at a time so that I can hot glue it every so many inches, okay? So I'm kind of making, kind of looks like one of those things that are on the end of like a turkey leg. That's what it looks like to me. But it won't look like that in your flower, I promise. Okay, someone asked a question. Are the larger leaves size 8.5 by 11? So all of my petals I did cut off of an 8.5 by 11 cardstock. The largest petal height-wise in this template, I'll measure it right now, I want to say is about, it's 8 inches, but you don't necessarily have it touch. I spread it out a bit, so that's why it winds up being about 18 inches wide from side to side. You can always scoot it closer. You don't have to use the largest petal. You can start from a smaller petal and make a smaller flower. So these can be adjusted. You can make the biggest all the way down to just a few of the petals to make a smaller flower. Sort of like if you see this is a large flower. This was using the same template, but I didn't use as many of the larger petals, so I got a smaller version. And I have a template for all 3 of these. If you're interested, message me or let me know, okay? All right, so back to our little thing. So as it stands right now, I'm finishing that up. Hopefully you guys can still see me. My battery light came on and I had my phone fully charged before we started. Hang on a second. So now that it's done, you can kind of see I've rolled it around. So you can see why I say it looks like a chicken leg. And then I just kind of fluff it out like this. So you can see how the center is going to look really cute. And then I basically take a big blob of hot glue, put it down into the very center of my flower. And I'm going to press it down. And this one I'm going to kind of hold a little bit because the glitter paper is a little bit stiffer and I want it to stay put until it's kind of gotten a little bit cool to dry. Okay. And there you go. You have a big, large paper flower. So the last step that I personally am going to do is I get these little pins that you can actually like use to hang it on fabric. I had talked about earlier in the video that you could use like a command strip to hang them up or maybe a safety pin, but I like to kind of glue this on the back so that I can turn around and hang it on my board. So I flip my flower over, do like a little strip of hot glue, and I set my pin on top of there so that that gets nice and stuck. Okay, I hope I've answered everybody's questions well enough and that I haven't missed any questions. Alright, this is almost dry, and then I'll add it to our board of all the other ones, and then you guys can see what it looks like. So while we're waiting on that, just a reminder, I am here on the first Thursday of every month doing a live craft. Within 2 weeks at the latest before the craft, I will let you know what we're making, and if you want to craft along with me, then I will let you know what supplies you would need in advance so that you can get them and prepare them. But you're always welcome to come back and watch the video over again. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. Jeannie, okay, so you asked, do you curl the edges over a dowel? On this particular flower, I'm folding the petals in half. For the rounded one, which is a separate template, not from the one that I had sent out for this class, yes, I take the ends and instead of folding the petals in half, I'm rolling with a dowel at the end of the petal enough to where it kind of keeps that curl. Again, you can have it rolled in, you can have rolled out, you can have them rolled to the side. It's kind of your personal preference and you can experiment with it. But on this particular one, yes. On this one, it has a different shaped petal, but I folded it in half like we did this one. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Amory. I'm glad that you liked it. Like I said, they're not very hard. They're just time consuming and they use an enormous amount of paper. So some people are like, I don't even want to deal with that. But if you're a crafty person and you wanted to learn, I wanted to show people just how easy they are. Okay, so here's our final product. And I'll show you, I'm going to hang it up over here with the rest of these guys. hopefully that completes. Well, it's kind of hard to see now. I'll show you it all. Ta-da! Kind of completes our little backdrop, right? All right. So thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed being able to teach you again. Yes, Giovanna, this will be available for replay. I will be posting it as soon as we're done here. And for Donna, yes, I will give you my email address. And you're also welcome to message me on my page with any questions, or if you have anything that you'd like to get more information about, or if you're interested in getting a template for yourself. So I appreciate you coming and crafting with me. I really enjoy this. I love to teach. Let me know if you have an idea of what I should be teaching for our next class. I haven't decided yet, so I'd love your input. Tell me what you want me to show you how to make, okay? And in about 2 weeks, I will make sure that I post the next class subject and a supply list so that you can craft along with me. Make sure you go into the event link on my page, and then you'll be in the know, because every month I post the information in the event, but we do the live video from my feed, okay? It was great to see you guys. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.